The cameras had just begun to roll. Lights spilled across the stage like soft rainfall, catching every expression, every breath that dared to break through the practiced smiles of the evening. And though the night was meant to celebrate Dylan Wang's newest drama, a grand, shimmering production, there was something else that no one could take their eyes off. Or rather, someone. Shen Yue. She wasn't on the guest list. She wasn't even supposed to be there. Yet there she was, sitting quietly in the second row, her hair tied back, her presence gentle but impossible to ignore. And in that instant, the energy in the room shifted. Fans would later say they felt it through the live stream. That small, almost imperceptible moment when Dylan Wang's eyes found hers. He was mid-sentence, answering a question about his new co-star, smiling like every professional actor does when the cameras are trained on him. But then his gaze drifted just slightly, just enough, and for the briefest heartbeat, he forgot his line. The audience laughed politely, thinking it was nerves or fatigue. But the fans watching online knew better, because the look wasn't the kind of look you give a stranger. It was recognition. It was memory. It was everything that had been left unsaid. He composed himself quickly, flashing that trademark grin, the one that could melt even the coldest silence. But as the interviewer spoke again, the camera caught it, a sideways glance, fleeting but heavy with something raw and unguarded. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips flooded the feed. Did Dylan just look at Shen Yue? Zoomed-in screenshots, slowed-down videos, heart emojis tangled with question marks. Everyone saw it. Everyone felt it. But only a few understood the weight of that look. Because behind the glamour and the polished smiles was a history. One written not in press releases or interviews, but in quiet moments between takes and laughter that used to echo on different sets. They had once been the screen couple everyone adored. Their chemistry had built entire worlds in the minds of viewers. But when the cameras stopped rolling, something real had started. Something both beautiful and dangerous. Months had passed since they were last seen together. The entertainment world had moved on, as it always does, chasing the next story, the next pairing, the next headline. But not him. Not entirely. And when fate placed her in that same auditorium, only meters away, every wall he'd built between his heart and his duty began to crumble. He tried to focus. He spoke about growth, about his character's complexity, about the craft of acting, but the words came out slower, softer, almost distracted. The audience laughed again when he lost track of his answer. The interviewer filled the silence, but the camera didn't lie. His gaze again found her, and this time it lingered. The clip that went viral wasn't loud or dramatic. It wasn't scandalous by typical standards. It was quiet, almost tender. A moment where the world saw a man trying to hold himself together in the presence of the woman who once made him believe that love could outlive fame. Fans noticed how his fingers tightened around the microphone, how his posture shifted slightly toward her, as if drawn by instinct. They noticed how Shen Yue looked down, biting her lip to hide the faintest tremor of emotion. And they noticed the one thing he couldn't hide, the ache in his eyes. Behind the scenes, those who worked the event whispered. Some said he'd requested to know if she would attend. Others claimed he hadn't known until that very moment. But what was certain was that he didn't expect the rush of emotion that would hit him when he saw her. They had parted on polite terms, or so the story went. Schedules, agencies, image control. All the reasons that sound sensible but leave a wound anyway. And yet, there she was, not a ghost, not a rumor, but real. Her presence was calm, graceful, but her eyes told another story. When the host announced her name among the attending guests, the audience applauded, unaware of the history that rippled beneath the surface. He applauded too, a little too quickly, a little too long, and fans noticed that too. Later, during the photo call, their paths crossed again, only for a second. But seconds, when weighted with emotion, can stretch into eternity. He stood at one end of the carpet, smiling for the cameras, answering questions, waving politely. She passed behind him, the gentle rustle of her dress the only sound that broke through the shutter clicks. He didn't turn immediately, not until she was almost past him. Then, as though something inside him refused to let go, he looked back. That moment became the thumbnail for every post that night. Dylan looks back again, still not over her. 8 seconds of silence that broke the internet. When asked later about the event, he brushed it off. He talked about professionalism, about respect, about nostalgia. But those who had seen the footage knew there was more. Because emotions that deep don't vanish, they hide. And sometimes, all it takes is a familiar face in a crowd to bring them roaring back. The way he adjusted his cufflinks, the way his jaw tensed when she laughed with someone else. Every micro-movement became a message. Every glance became a confession. And though neither of them said a word, the silence between them spoke louder than any dialogue they'd ever performed on screen. The night ended with applause. Awards were handed out, speeches were made, flashbulbs burst like fireworks. But when Dylan walked off stage, the smile faded. In the quiet corridor backstage, away from cameras and fans, he paused. Someone handed him a water bottle, asked if he was okay. He nodded, but his eyes betrayed him. He looked down the hallway, where Shen Yue was speaking softly to a crew member, her back turned. He wanted to say something, anything, but words failed him. Instead, he watched her leave one last time. Fans dissected the ending of that night for days. Some insisted there was reconciliation behind the scenes. Others believed the silence meant closure. But one comment under the viral clip seemed to capture what everyone felt. Sometimes you don't need words to know it still hurts. That comment alone gathered hundreds of thousands of likes. Because it was true. What they saw that night wasn't scandal. It was truth. The kind that slips through even the tightest control. The kind that lives between exhaled breaths and broken smiles. Days later, both their agencies released brief statements. Neutral, careful, empty. Colleagues with mutual respect. Grateful for support. But fans knew better. They replayed the clip again and again, frame by frame, searching for meaning in every heartbeat. And each time they watched, they saw something new. A twitch of smile, a glance that softened too quickly, a blink that carried the weight of years. Weeks passed, but the story refused to fade. Every time Dylan appeared on a show, someone would ask about that night. He would smile, nod, and change the subject. But once, during a radio interview, the host played a snippet from an old drama they had starred in together. A scene where his character tells hers, "Some people leave, but the feeling never does." He chuckled softly, then grew quiet. And when he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost distant. "Some lines stay with you," he said, "even when the story ends." The studio fell silent, and the fans knew the story hadn't really ended at all.